Bartley.
Hey, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Love Shack.
Hey, welcome to the Love Shack. It's a little old place where we get together, explore fresh perspectives, and eavesdrop on juicy conversations in an attempt to uncover the mysteries that nobody talks about but absolutely influences our relationships. If you are struggling with your special someone, this show is dedicated to helping couples rescue their relationships and create love for a lifetime. I'm Stacey Bartley, and I'm here with my co-host and lover. I guess most days I could say that, right? Together for the past decade, we've been teaching and mentoring couples from around the world with the sole purpose of helping them build stronger, thriving relationships, both with themselves and others, with principle skills and sound principles. So,
absolutely. Welcome everybody. If you're listening to us live or listening live or watching live, I mean, we're in the heart of the holiday season here, feeling very festive. We have a I'm never allowed to say much, but we got one of our favorite people who's going to really make sense of what we're trying to share with you.
From giving gifts from the heart
absolutely.
This holiday season.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't get my
I'm
full.
sorry.
See, I only get about 3 minutes. Also, thank you to our engineer, Mr. Eric Ryder. He makes us look good, smell good, sound good, all that good stuff. No, all kidding aside, great to have you with us.
Yeah, many of us know how hard it is to find the perfect gift for your loved one. And this can be especially true when you're shopping for that significant other. So today, inside the Love Shack, we're going to have a talk about how you can give gifts from the heart that your partner will cherish forever. And we're going to be able to accomplish this without breaking the bank or racking up the credit card. So I want you right now to get ready to learn some simple ways that you can show up in the people's lives that you love by giving them gifts from the heart, gifts that these come from the heart and are priceless. They say to the person that we love, hey, I see you. I appreciate you. You matter to me.
I would say that the gift really handles the thing we always share, that all of us are, as humans, we're all wanting. There's really only three things. And this gift and our wonderful guest is going to share with us how we can encapsulate that and present that and share that with our loved ones all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I met Stacy and Tom about 2 years ago. I was at a point in my relationship where I was ready to file for divorce. Not that I wanted to, but I just felt hopeless and helpless. I'd been through other counseling and coaching and didn't find any success. With Stacy and Tom's methods, I was able to eliminate insecurities, set boundaries, plant my flag, eliminate rabbit holing. I was separated from my wife for a year, and I have since moved back home for the last 6 months now. I still refer back to a lot of the teaching that Stacy and Tom provided, and it's helped me. It's well worth it.
Learn the simple 3-step system to rescue your struggling relationship by registering for Stacy's brand new free workshop. Reserve your seat by going to staceybartley.com/workshop.
Hi, I'm Nathan Mum, host of Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum on KKNW. Tech Time Radio's live show is Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. And you can always check us on the web at techtimeradio.com. Our segmented stylized radio gives you the breaking news before it hits mainstream media. Join myself and Mike Corday as we'll make you laugh.
That's good. So, Hooked on Phonics worked for you, didn't it?
It did, just a little bit. And learning something new in technology. Join us Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. and Thursdays from 6 to 7 a.m. The technology show for the everyday common person.
Are you ready to venture off the beaten path, expand your mind, raise your consciousness, and open your heart? Allow me to entice you with interviews with amazing souls from around the world. Indulge in history, mystery, science, and spirituality. There's weekly skin tips, live esoteric readings, and answers to life's burning questions. So come join me, Sakura, your host, intuitive medium and spiritual hypnotherapist, each Wednesday at 2 to 3 p.m. right here on KKNW for Love from the Hip.
Alternative Talk 1150. It's good for what ails you. This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 61, Tom and Stacey Bartley, Love Shack Live. Great to have you with us. We're going to jump right into the heart of the matter because I don't want to waste any time getting right to gifts from the heart and our awesome guest.
Yes, and we know this episode is dedicated to the fact that finding the perfect gift for your special someone can often be difficult, not to mention expensive. The truth is, I know that most of us desire to give a thoughtful, meaningful gift, but it can be so hard to find something for your spouse or partner if you feel like they already have everything, number one. And especially if I'm trying to stick within some side of a budget. And we want them to be memorable, right? We want these things to touch their heart and communicate in some small way how much you mean to me. And this can create a tremendous amount of anxiety and pressure for us. So we have really great news for you today. Inside the Love Shack with us is a special guest, Sherry Ballou. She is one of our dearest colleagues. I'll tell you what, you meet this woman and she touches your heart in profound ways. And we are so grateful to have her with us. She is a master at helping us share and create gifts from the heart. And we are so excited to have her join us here in the Love Shack. And here's the thing, we want you to come away with something that you know was in your realm of ability that will create some inspiration. And we're going to give you some guidance for that gift shopping this holiday season.
Absolutely. And sometimes we feel the more a person means to us, the more expensive the gift must be. But what if it wasn't the cost that mattered, but we made sure our gifts express the meaning that person holds for us? Now, for those of us that kind of live in the left side of our brain, please don't log off or say, oh man, I'm checking out. Like there's no way I'm gonna get my brand new pencils and my colored Crayola crayons and my colored paper, and I'm gonna get out on my desk here and it's gonna be blank stare. I promise you. Sherry has worked with us and she takes that away because she gives us, just like what we talk about often, frameworks and ways to do this, that it's not, we don't start from scratch. So please, those left brain folks with you and I, stay with us because there's no more left brain anybody than me.
And I must give a shout out right now because after working with us, Sherry actually helped Tom create gifts that were meaningful, even though he doesn't have pencils and glue and color.
Well, we have lots of them around because I live with a right brain person here. So
let's tell you a little bit about Sherry, shall we? She is a certified high performance coach who helps people find creative, intentional, and impactful ways to celebrate life and express their love for family and friends. Sherry supports people in living their best lives, and she's a wonderful demonstration of that herself. She's full of joy, success, engagement, with rich, meaningful relationships in her life. She is also the author of Say It Now, 33 Creative Ways to Say I Love You to the most important people in our life. Sherry, welcome to Love Shack. It's so great to have you back here with us again. As you know, you touch our hearts every time we connect. So great to have you here and to share and inspire these ideas that you so live day to day.
Stacy and Tom, hello. Boy, do I love seeing your faces.
Yes, we love seeing yours.
Awesome. I've just been grinning ear to ear, just listening to you. And thank you for having me back. It's great to be here.
Yes. And we want to jump right into this conversation because we know that there's a lot to say about it, right? There's fears and pressures and anxieties and can I do that? And then, oh my gosh, the time and the expense, et cetera. So let's maybe begin this conversation with what are the emotional aspects of giving a gift from the heart? Like, help me understand why that would matter. I mean, I know, but this is, I'm sure, a question that our listeners are asking. Like, look, I could get on Amazon and in about, 22 seconds, I could order something up. It's going to come to my door. I'm going to throw some wrapping around it. And if I can just pick out the right present on Amazon, it's all going to go well. And it will. I mean, it's good, right? I'm not diminishing that whatsoever. But let's create a picture for the listeners about what else is possible, shall we?
And I love that you said that because I don't have anything against, store-bought gifts, that you go online and get. It's not about that. But I think what you're asking, at least what I think, is that there's so much more. And there's so much more for me as the person who's creating an amazing gift, because how that transforms me is amazing. And I hope we'll talk a little bit about that. There's also how it transforms the relationship. And you two already said this, but I want to underscore, I really believe that what people most want, they want to be seen, they want to be known, and they want to be loved for exactly who they are. And I can tell you, people just don't get that much in the world, right? And all the mad dashing around and everything digital and the focus that we have, at least in our culture of, accomplishments and accolades and awards. People just want to be loved. And I am just such a proponent of creating gifts that really celebrate the love that we share together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and I would love, let's dive into that phrase that you just said. It transforms me, the gift giver. So let's explore that. Let's unpack that a little bit and help people like wrap their head around what? What do you mean? I'm stressed out and anxiety ridden thinking about what I'm going to give to my special someone, right? And I'm going to transform through this process.
Well, and I know you two know this, but I always like to make sure that I introduce myself with everything that I do came from a dark place. It came from a deep depression and anxiety. And I feel like it's always so important to tell people that, because creating these kinds of gifts and the love list, which I'm sure we'll talk about in particular, they changed my life. They saved my life. And that may sound extreme. And the truth is, that is what happened. I really believe that when we are immersed in love, and you guys, I know you know this, when we're immersed in focusing on someone that we love, and especially in what we're talking about here, which is creativity, but not like Tom said, it's not like you've got to get out your pens and glue, but creativity as in the mind, like really being creative about how we express our love. It uplifts us. It's like a drug. I really, it's like someday I'm going to have this researched somehow to show.
Yes.
For me, it was the antidepressant.
Wow. Now that's really powerful. There is something to be said for that. And I certainly see it in our work as well. When I can focus on something that I love and that I adore, it causes me to rise in ways that maybe I wouldn't rise for myself. Right? I'll do it for others. I'll do it because I love you. You're significant to me. And I want you to know that. And I think also what you said is true. We also desire to also know and have that reverberate through us that we are loved. Somebody does want to hear our perspective or what it is we have to say. Somebody, we love it when somebody appreciates us for all the work that we're doing. I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, after doing this work for so many years, all of us as human beings are truly doing the best we know how. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't some wild, crazy, right, experiences that sometimes create exactly what it is we don't want. But genuinely at the core, especially when it comes to lovers, we really want this to go well. And then there's this interior aspect of me, right, that I've got to deal with. And for most of us, that's a full-time job. And so when I can get outside of myself and I can express that love and appreciation for others, right, I always say give first.
Yes.
Because then it's going to come back. And when we start expressing ourselves in this way, in our gift giving and in our sharing, right, it's more likely that we're going to get back those elements that we want as we give them first. It kind of opens up the doorway to this place of vulnerability that we all kind of go, oh gosh, that's not scary. That's painful. And I just need to say this, and I'd love your thoughts on this too, Sherry. We become so afraid of vulnerability, like it's going to create some monster under the bed. And yet it's more painful to not go there than it is to step into the vulnerabilities of how you feel, what you want, how you see it, sharing your perspective. And I think that's a huge myth in this relational conversation that we have absolutely got to talk more about, right? It's not like, oh, that's vulnerable, or I'm going to have this vulnerable hangover. That may be true, but as you do that place more often, you'll find that it's far less painful. Right? Because that's what we're all desiring. So we throttle that back, we put it in the box, we bury it in the hole and think that that's going to save us when actually it just intensifies the pressure and the pain.
Absolutely. And Stacey, I really think that was a lot that was going on for me when I was in that dark suicidal place those years. What it really was a pushing down, right? I was so afraid to express who I was. I was afraid to express love to people. I was afraid to express everything. Everything was just like an iron wall closing in. And you're right. And I don't want to sugarcoat anything. It's a practice. It is going to feel vulnerable. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But Tom, weren't we just saying before we went live, getting comfortable with those things that are uncomfortable, it's one of the ways we grow. And it's one of the ways that when we, just like Stacy said too, when we practice, people start to open up to us. And, little by little by little, our relationships really do deepen. They really do grow. And that is what we want. I mean, sure, we want all the gadgets and this and that. And, there's all those other kinds of gifts, but we want to be connected. That's it.
100%. And I bet you have clients, as I have clients, who have everything in the world, right? And yet they're still longing for that piece of emotional connection, right? And how do we get that? And there's no compensation of the physical means that is going to compensate for that lack of emotional connection that we all desire. And it seems to get put on steroids during the holiday season, right? Because that's really what it's about, in my opinion, is that emotional place where we all get to come together and gather and share in more of the emotional nuances, and the decorations and the music and everything is kind of, around inspiring that aspect inside of our lives. And so if that's a difficult place for us to go, that's okay. But that's kind of what the holiday season is designed to do. So it's either going to be a very enjoyable season for you, or maybe a very triggering holiday season for you. And so as we kind of dive into, okay, why do we want to do some gift giving that's from the heart, as opposed to just, handling it quickly and having those presents ordered from Amazon? One is not right or wrong. One is not better or worse than the other. But there is an opportunity here that I just want to capitalize on, that when I'm looking for something that's going to let the person or people in my life know that I love them the most, there's nothing that will do it, no amount of monetization, big or small, that is going to compensate for saying the things that are on my heart and how I see you. And that's where you come in, right? The expert of all the many ways and all the facets and unique abilities and possibilities that can be put together to let you know that, right? So I would love to hear some of your examples and some of those creative strategies to kind of.
Well, before we go there, how does this style of gift giving, Sherry, creates less pressure on finding the perfect gift? I think that's a very powerful thing. So how would you please share with us that? What would be your vantage point on that?
I love that, Tom. What a great question, right? Like, first of all, let's all drop that. Like, this whole idea of the perfect anything, right? What a way to shut down every single possibility in us. Right?
Really?
Right. So, what I think is exactly what Stacy said. I mean, the holidays, but actually anytime. Again, what we're after is that feeling of connection. I like to add in celebration, right?
Yes.
I'm celebrating. When I see you two, I see you pop on the screen. It's like there's nobody else like you two in the world, right? In my life. You two, right? So it's like a celebration of who you are to me, how we know each other, our shared jokes, our shared experiences. Like, that's what makes us feel human, isn't it? It's what makes us feel alive. And so dropping that idea of the perfect gift and instead thinking like and it doesn't even have to be everybody. Like, maybe you just choose one person this holiday season, one person, maybe, it's your spouse, or it's a child, or it's a parent, or a best friend, to just play around with and say, well, okay, that one person, I'm not going to buy them something. I'm going to think of, and we're going to give you some examples, a gift that really celebrates our relationship. And, you really can't go wrong, right? There's no perfect way to do that. Anything that helps people feel loved and appreciated and connected is going to be perfect.
Well said.
It is well said, because that's all what we're longing. We're longing for that at the bottom of the stack anyway, right? We fight for those things. We beg for those things. We long for those things. We shut down.
And I would just say, not to be, doomsday at all, but I would think many of us at this point of our evolution and all that we've navigated as a world in, say, the last 2 years, I don't think any of us would not just cherish receiving one of these type of gifts. I mean, because how often, like you said, Sherry, any of us receive them? I would say maybe some of us have never received one in our entire life.
Well, and I would say, with the COVID experience, the pandemic, some of these things, we're starting to get that reminder of life is so precious, right? And the people that we love, there are many of us out there who are listening right now who have lost a special, significant someone in their life due to this last year and a half, almost 2 now.
Right.
And so I think more than ever, we are in a place where this is the perfect conversation to have around the holidays, right? It's this opportunity where hopefully you come away being inspired that, okay, I can do this, right? I can communicate, as you had said, Sherry, how this person, what they mean to me, and highlight some aspects of our relationship together. Right? Like, it's beautiful. And I so agree with you. You can't screw this up.
You can't.
You can't. The fact that you tried and you just said a few things.
Well,
right,
I would
is
just
gonna
ask you,
touch
Sherry, in
somebody.
all your work with your clients and your community, have you ever heard from someone where they followed one of your awesome lessons and game plans to do so, and then the recipient said, "Oh, I don't like that." I mean, seriously.
No, but in all honesty, and I also like to always say this to people, sometimes it's very vulnerable to receive a gift like this.
Mhm.
So I always like to tell people, and I know this for myself, I've received a lot of gifts that I actually haven't been able to receive until weeks or even years later sometimes. So what I want to say is that, 99.99% of the time, right, people are going to be visibly like thrilled. But there might be someone who gets a gift like this where they're really seen, and maybe they haven't been seen for a really long time. And maybe they don't know how to take that in, but that doesn't mean it's not the perfect gift, right?
Do you have
Because
any stories you would be willing to share with us around this?
that's a great. Well, I've had clients tell me, so you guys know, and I could say it in just a sentence or two. The love list is sort of the cornerstone of
Yes.
I is my favorite gift because you can have a pencil and a piece of paper and make a love list, which is basically, I'm looking at you two and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I love every time I get on with Stacy and Tom. They make me laugh within the first 10 seconds, right? That's a love list item. I love how close they are to their family and they inspire me to reach out to my family in a new way. That's a love list item. I love Stacy's glasses. They make her look so sassy. That's a love list. So a love list is just a brainstorm, specific reasons you love someone. And those just came off the top of my head. I could easily in the next few minutes come up with 100, right? Like, it doesn't have to be that many. A love list can be 3 items, 5 items, 20. But I do have people who have given this gift to people, and the person on the other end is like, whoa, they didn't know what to say when they first got it. And typically what happens is then that person goes by themselves, they have a chance to digest it, they really take it in, and then they come back to someone and say, I've had a lot of people tell me this, wow, I didn't think he liked it at first, but then, even a teenage son, someone told me recently, I made it for my teenage son. I didn't think he liked it. He actually came back to me 2 days later and said, Mom, that gift was amazing, which teenage boy, right? So
Mhm.
I think that is something to take in mind. We're being vulnerable, but the other person is also vulnerable. And I believe we're creating a new culture. I really believe that, and I would hope, and I know you guys are here with me with this, that it's a movement away from, buying to show our love. And instead, really cultivating that our experiences are gifts, the memories we share, what we create together, and then how we gift that back to people in forms of these kinds of gifts. It's new in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Well,
No,
and what I would just say, and Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the recipient of these heartfelt gifts, I think it's important for us to remember, just like you shared, we shouldn't place an expectation on that recipient as to how they're supposed to respond, right?
Exactly. Right. A gift. And I think, Tom, thank you for saying that. You're absolutely right. And we all know this, but we can forget. A gift is given without expectation.
Right.
A gift is given because we want to give it. And when we realize, and this is how it was for me, when I first started this whole world of, personalized gifts, I was creating them because of how they changed me, who I became in the process.
Right.
And before I even would give it to someone, that relationship was transformed. It has to be, right? If I'm making a love list for you two and I never give it to you, still you're going to feel the impact, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm going to be speaking to you differently. I'm going to be more like sort of focused on all the love I feel for you. I'm going to show up differently.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So thanks for saying that, Tom. Yeah.
Well, and I want to also point out that the human behavior part of us, anytime we feel uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Right. But anytime I feel uncomfortable, we as human beings, how we cope with that typically is to withdraw, to pull within, to allow us some time to like digest it down, and make sense of what just happened. So if you give a gift that's very, open and expressive, right, and you're sharing things that maybe you haven't shared in a while or maybe ever, the person receiving that is naturally, just innately, I want to normalize this, going to pull within and want to take some time to be with it, to digest it down, to get comfortable with it. And sometimes it takes some time for them to come back around. And sometimes you may never get that confirmation. I'm thinking about a person in my own life where I have extended this, right? But the way they show up when we interact is different. And that's how I know it's made impact. I may never get the exterior validation of that was the greatest gift ever, right? I want you to be able to drop that expectation, but how they show up and engage with me is different. We're all coming from a new place of like appreciation and a sense of connection that wasn't available before because we're just sharing and opening up more aspects of ourselves with each other, right? And that door gets kicked open when we give a gift from the heart like this, like if we're proposing, right?
Oh, I love that. And I love, even in this conversation, like for me, I didn't know where we were going to go, right? Like I suspect you probably didn't know. It's not like we scripted it all out. And what I love is what's happening is something much bigger, right? We're talking about something much bigger than how to give a great gift, which is wonderful, right? I love the idea of giving a great gift. But what we're talking about is what you guys are always talking about, which is how to love better, how to be more intimate in relationships, how to give more and receive more, how to deepen relationships. So what we're talking about is not just this one gift, but it's really transforming who we are and how we love in the world and how our relationships grow, right?
Well, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, and that is so true. And me too. We didn't know where this conversation was going to, but we just kind of trust Gus, right? God, universe, and spirit, that is going to take us where we need to go in this conversation and serve those who are listening. So if you're resonating with what we're saying up to this point in time, what I want to say to our listeners is we are going to give you some concrete ideas about gifts. We are, I promise. But if you're feeling inspired about giving a gift like this, sometimes we can doubt ourselves as well. Like, oh, I don't want to make it weird, and should I say that? Is that okay to say? And what I want you to hear us all say in unison, hopefully, is yes, give it, risk, right? Jump the gap right there and give that gift and just watch what happens, right? Worst case scenario is you give the gift, you share with somebody how you feel, and it's going to transform, like I had just said, the way that you interact going forward. And you may never get that confirmation, but you'll see a change, and you'll see a change in yourself, as Sherry had described, and you'll also see a change in this relationship between the two of you. So jump, leap, do it if you feel inspired about this, right? And now we're going to give you some ways to do that. Hopefully we've enrolled you in the idea of what is possible. And hey, if you're in a place right now where this just seems like too much, I just listen in, and maybe next year or maybe next time or next birthday, right? Because sometimes we need to build up the courage to kind of take these things on with inside of ourselves. And I want you to know that there's no harm or wrong in that either. Like, be where you are, right? Sometimes it takes conversations a few times to kind of like percolate. And then we develop the courage to kind of like leap when we're ready, right? So wherever you are in this moment, maybe this is old hat for you. Awesome, right? Inspire those around you. And maybe this is something really unique and different, and that's okay too. So just explore it and notice how you resonate with it in your heart and in your body. And that's going to tell you everything that you need to know, right? We're so much more wise than we give ourselves credit for. So let's talk about that love list. One of my favorite things. I have some great examples here, but share with us the love list process, and then I'll give you some.
Well, if there's anything more to add than your brief
Yes.
explanation of it, and it can be just share how I would say how malleable this love list can be. That's right.
That's exactly what I was just, Tom, you read my mind, right? So I've said, so, it's basically as simple as I said, right? It's as simple as what I love about you. Oh, I love the memory of when oh, I love thinking about, oh, I love when you, and we can, give people more resources around that. But the thing is what Tom just said, Stacy, to your point, someone may think like, oh my goodness, if I gave someone a list of 10 things I loved about them, that feels too much. One thing, right? So I've been this holiday season, especially encouraging people, what are you already giving someone where you could just add a little note or two, so maybe you're going to give them a turquoise sweater that you bought them. How can you embellish that gift a little? I'm giving you this turquoise sweater because I love your, the time that we went to the beach and you mentioned how much the turquoise water just brought you to life. Just connecting something to it that you love about them, even if it's just one thing you write in a card or right now after they listen to this, practicing just sending someone like, I will often just find a photo in my iPhone and it's, me and my high school friend Lisa, when we were cheerleaders, and I'll just send her. I love the memory of when we both braided our hair, in the same way. Just that simple, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple, but it's celebrating. It's celebrating a time that you've shared together, or it's celebrating an aspect of them. But if you are ready for a tiny bit more, let's say you can come up with 10 things pretty easily about someone you love. I tell people you can make a love list into anything, right? So you can just write it on a piece of paper. You could, if you have the capability, a computer, and you want to put a couple photos and print your 10 things, beautiful. You could put them in fortune cookies, which is not that hard. I tell people how to do that so that when they crack open a fortune cookie, there's something they love. If you're buying a box of chocolates, sometimes what I'll do is remove some of the chocolates and put little love list,
that's
papers, right? So it's a combination, right, of things. You could send someone a postcard every week with one thing you love about them. I mean, it's really sort of an endless, and this is where, back to Tom's thing about creativity, no matter who you are, I bet that there's some way that you could bring a love list into what you do. If you're an illustrator, let's say that you do a tiny little illustration, once a month. And with that, you send one thing that you love about them, or it's an illustration somehow that relates to what you love. It is like, it could be anything.
Sherry, share with us. I'm on your email list. I love you shared not too long ago share with our listeners the incredible quilt you received.
Right?
Now there's creativity. If you want to go off the top, but this is what Sherry received from her friends.
Holy cow, right? So not too long ago, I have a group of friends that we've been meeting for years, a couple times every month, and they surprised me. They made me a love list quilt. So
Wow.
they sewed in. I wish I had it here, but I'm at my mom's house. I'm not at if I was at my own house, I'd show you. They each like contributed a few things they loved about me and sewed it into the quilt.
That's so incredible.
And how did you feel when you received it, Sherry? What was, it had to be multiple layers of unbelievable gratitude and thanks. But I mean, you had shared in your email, it was incredible. And you shared some pictures of.
Right? Like, I think at first I was just in shock, right? Because it was such a big, amazing, and maybe this is a good example of what we were talking about, right? Because I was on video, and at first I think I was happy, obviously, and but later I just started bawling, right? It did. I mean, this is a good example. Like, I think later when I had a chance to, it was a big gift.
Yes.
And for me, of course, also because what they were doing, it was the love list, but they were also showing me the impact of my work. Like, they wanted me to feel that. Talk about, thoughtfulness, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing they could have bought me in the world that could beat that.
Yeah. So well said. Yes. And it probably took you a minute to kind of, like you said, shock and then pull back and then like digest it down and take in what just happened, right? And how these people see you.
Well, and I think that's important. I mean, here Sherry is that she's the creator of this body of work, and even us so-called masters, none of us are. It took Sherry a while because it was the impact of it. So it's important. I can't overemphasize. Again, not that it's not nice to be acknowledged, and when we maybe wouldn't get that immediate acknowledgement, but that's not how these type of gifts work because they're so infrequent and they're so different than anything that most of us have ever received. So we have to let the emotional part catch up with the rest of our physiological system, so to speak, right, Mrs. Science Lady?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and if you're joining us here on the live stream watching video, I'm gonna give a demonstration here. I'm gonna show you a very precious thing. It's gonna be hard for me to not get emotional, but this is a card that I have to set it up. We went to our mailbox like we traditionally do.
And this is a year ago, and we were moving between where we live now and where we used to live.
Yeah, life was really, really crazy.
Really busy.
And we were unpacking boxes, and it was a Sunday afternoon. We were jumping in the car to get some coffee, and we were going to come back and set up the house. And we pulled all of our mail out, and there was this incredible piece that came in this brown envelope that was unlike anything we'd ever seen. And we were like, what is this? And without looking at the name or who it was from or what part of the country it was coming from, it was obvious it wasn't a bill. So I decided I was going to open it first. We opened up this beautiful card from an incredible soul that's with us here in the Love Shack right this very moment. And guess what? She did a love list and a beautiful pop-up card.
Coolest card I've ever seen.
Love list card attached to it. And Tom and I, just like you had described with the quilt, we sat there for a minute with our jaws dropped like, oh my gosh, that is the sweetest thing anybody has ever done for us that we work with or
and if you're listening, it's a card that opens up and it's 3D. It has this beautiful tree, and then inside there's a pocket of sleeve that pulls out, and Sherry, in that was the love list that Sherry made for us. And again, this was incredibly busy. We had all our mail and we were on our way up to our new house. And this is when we discovered this card.
And all of us have moments where we wonder, who I am and showing up in the world and what I do, is it enough? Is it enough? Is it making impact? Does it matter? And we all need to be reminded of that. And that was the gift that Sherry gave us in that moment while we were just in an extreme amount of like transformation and chaos, etc. And it touched our hearts in ways that we can't describe. So first of all, thank you for that. But I also want to point out how simple this is. This is a love pop card. Maybe Sherry, you could speak about this because it's a card.
It's really cool.
And then she just added the love list to it. And it absolutely was.
Well, it's keepsake. I mean, it's as cherished as it is when we received it a year ago.
It sits on our bookshelf, and it reminds us of Sherry, but it also is a wonderful thing to pull out, and it's instrumental in reminding us sometimes when we're doubting ourselves about what we do, who we are. It gives us the courage sometimes to rise and go on. Right? It's really that profound. Not to be excessive about it, but it really is true. I'm not trying to oversell it. I'm saying this is how it has touched me.
Well, I can say I've never received a card like that before. So, and I'm older than a few years old. So there you go. I mean.
And I took this principle to my brother's 70th birthday party, and he loves trucks, vintage trucks. And so those red 1957 vintage trucks are pretty popular right now. We see them all over. And so I was able to find him a tin 1957's truck, and I took your love list and I made a list of all the things that I love and all the things that I remember and cherish about him. And we filled the back of the truck with all of these little notes and these little envelopes that he could take out and read again and again and again and again.
And Stacy shares every time she talks to him, guess what he talks about?
He talks about that love
list. That truck.
You guys.
Yeah, it's a little thing, and it's in the back of the little pickup of this. All of the siblings and us, we all put what we loved about Greg inside of there. And Stacy said, Tom, Greg keeps talking about the truck.
Go ahead. So I just want to say, I didn't know you were going to share these things, but I love this. And I love that you're demonstrating exactly what we've been talking about, right? So somebody listening, it's not going to be a red Chevy. It may just be, maybe they have a vase that was their grandmother's that they want to fill with something for their daughter. Right? Or maybe it's a mason jar and they put some fairy lights in it, right? This is where the creativity comes in. And I believe everyone has that. It's just when we seep ourselves, like with you guys, that is beautiful with the truck. That's
Mhm.
perfect for him, right?
Yeah.
And that, yeah,
Not hard to do, really simple to do. It does require you to sit down and think about what it is you love and appreciate about this person. And we even threw in some, like, my older brother, he was the oldest of the family after my father had passed. And so he was kind of like the guy that was, given the wisdom at the ripe old age of 19. And there was some funny comments that he's, I can't swear, so I can't share a lot of them with you. But I mean, just these, places where he would remind you opinions are like,
You know what? Yeah.
buttholes. Everybody's got one. And he would say that to me as a junior high person, crying because I didn't feel like I fit in. And he would say,
That's
don't
okay.
worry about it. Everybody's got one of those. So move on, right? What's your opinion about this? And so we even wrote some of those in there. And so as we were going through them together,
some
we were
isms,
laughing and cracking up,
ISMS.
right?
Everybody has
Yes.
isms. Every family has isms. Every friends have with each other have isms, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I can still remember watching Greg sitting on his little hearth of his fireplace and over our incredible weekend, and he just was so touched. I mean, it was like, again, hard to explain unless you witness it or be a part of it.
Well, and just like we're describing, he would open one and then he would have to sit down and pause and be with it, right? It's that overwhelming experience. Sometimes it takes the receiver a moment to kind of like digest it down. Now, here's the kicker. I am a firm believer that when we give a gift like this, what has come back to me tenfold, just as you were saying, it transforms the giver, is the many times he'll say, thank you so much. And remember when, and this is what I love about you. And that has kind of like cracked him open to where now he's expressing more of those things with me, which is so beautiful.
Oh,
right?
Stacy, I love this.
Well, and Sherry, that is the heart of your work, and I want to also make sure that if everybody's aware of your book, which I love. I give it as a gift to my clients as they graduate some of our programs. I talk about it all the time. It's a book that's called "Say It Now: 33 Creative Ways to Say I Love You." And what's really cool about this book is not only does it give it some of the ideas that we've talked about here on the show, but there's also a QR code on some of the pages, and it will take you to a place where you can visually see some of the creations that Sherry has not only created for herself, but that she has also received in this exchange of gift giving.
Could make a very good Christmas present, ladies and gentlemen.
It really could. Now, Sherry, before we have to wrap this up, I want to give you the opportunity to share with our listeners how they can learn more about you and the beautiful, fantastic work that you do, and where they might find more of that.
And where's the best place to get your book, too?
Oh, you guys are awesome. I love you so much. This is so much fun.
So much. I know. We need to do this more often.
So my company is called Simply Celebrate. My website is simplycelebrate.net. So that's where people can find me. I'm on social media, Simply Celebrate. And the book is at Target and Amazon are probably the two easiest places to get it. And there really are. I just wanted to also say, I know we got so excited and we didn't have time to tell about other ideas, but there really are. All of the ideas in there are meant to be things that anybody can do. You don't need a lot of creative art supplies or anything. It's not like that. They're ideas, and a lot of the QR codes lead to gift certificates and things that you could just print out. So
beautiful.
I love that. Well, and we do have like 60 seconds for one more idea if you want to throw another one at us.
Let's do that. Let's do one more that's a little bit of a different thing so that people can get a sense. So the thing that I think is one of the best, that especially if it's a busy season for you, that a gift certificate for some sort of adventure day with someone. So, and it depends on what they love. Like, let's say a friend is a photographer. And so you give them a gift certificate that you're going to take them somewhere magnificent, to just the two of you are going to go and photograph things all day. And then maybe you take a picnic lunch, or maybe if it's winter and it's cold, you take them out to lunch and you look at all the photos together. And then maybe sometime after that, even you send them a few of the photos. Like, it's a way of they love photography. You want them to see that. You want them to know that you really value their gift, and you want to share it with them. You don't have to do it now when it's busy in the holidays. You give a gift certificate so that you can look forward in those quiet days of January to spending time together. And then you have a day together. So to give people that idea also of what experiences can you give people
Well, I would say that's a beautiful segue. I mean, the last question we had is, how can you cultivate more meaningful relationships with people close to you as a result of expressing your emotions through gift giving? So you so eloquently, so it crosses that bridge of the material part. Again, nothing against that, right? Into the experiential feeling part, what you just described.
Right. So just to start thinking in terms of that, like, I really want people to think of experiences as gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, were you going to say something else?
No, it's it's spot on. I mean,
and this takes me back to, I know, you sharing some wonderful things that you and your partner have created together that are in light of this, right? Where he's taken you and rented a boat and got the umbrellas and the picnics and the lunch and the wine. And that's just so delightful. So with the few seconds that we have left, tell us about how that makes you feel when somebody creates an experience around this for you.
Right. Like it's enlivening. And I think, that word just dropped in, but I think, when we do things that are novel, especially with someone we love, right, that's what just it makes everything technicolor, right? And I think that's what we want to be thinking, like, outside of the normal, here's what we always do. What can you do, right? Like, yeah, what can you, like, he rented the gondola, right? Like, and the gondola person was singing. Just those two things. It was like, what? Never had that experience,
Right.
So, yeah, just think in those terms, who they are, what they love. How can you shine that light back on them to show them, like, you are spectacular. Let me share in this even more with you, and create something.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Well said. Sherry, it's always such a pleasure and such a delight to have you on the show and to connect with you professionally and personally. Know that Tom and I just adore you and send you off with a ton of love and holiday cheer, and look forward to seeing you again soon after the first of the year.
Thank you. I love you. I love your work.
Thank you, Sherry.
We love you right
We'll
back.
see you soon. Happy holidays.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. People, if you don't have the book yet, say it now. I so encourage you to get it. It is just an incredible way for us to become inspired about giving some of these gifts from our hearts that make all the difference.
It gives you all the recipe. I mean, it takes all the
pressure.
If you're the left brain person, like yours truly, again, I can't, because there's QR codes. It's put together really, really well. So it will take a lot of maybe the anxiety around, oh, good gracious, how would I ever take on something? So really gift yourself this book. It's wonderful.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with some Follow the Fun. We're going to give a little giveaway. Maybe it's the book.
See, we'll be right back.
I met Stacy and Tom about 2 years ago. I was at a point in my relationship where I was ready to file for divorce. Not that I wanted to, but I just felt hopeless and helpless. I'd been through other counseling and coaching and didn't find any success. With Stacy and Tom's methods, I was able to eliminate insecurities, set boundaries, plant my flag, eliminate rabbit holing. I was separated from my wife for a year, and I have since moved back home for the last 6 months now. I still refer back to a lot of the teaching that Stacy and Tom provided, and it's helped me. It's well worth it.
Learn the simple 3-step system to rescue your struggling relationship by registering for Stacy's brand new free workshop. Reserve your seat by going to stacybartley.com/workshop.
Make it a great day. Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Love Shack. Happy holidays. We're going to step right into Follow the Fun. We've got a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway every episode this rest of this month.
Well, I think we ought to do a demonstration, because here's the thing. We all know that communication is the key to a healthy relationship, but it can be hard to find new and interesting things to talk about, especially when things get busy.
I would say it's the number
holidays.
one challenge that people come to us for is communication.
Yeah. Well, and here's the kicker. The average couple spends only 2 hours a day with each other. And the majority of that time is spent eating, watching TV, surfing social media rather than connecting with each other. And if there's children present, then that 2 hours is even
more challenged.
limited. Yeah.
Exactly.
So with the conversation cards for connection, they really are the perfect conversation starter for the next date night or simply sitting on the couch together. And rather than picking up your phone, right, you can pick up a card, which we're going to do right now as a follow the fun moment. So here it is. I drew a card.
So
out of a pack
if you're
of
listening,
52.
these are our conversation cards. You can go to our website and see them and purchase them. They make a great stocking stuffer, if you will. We create them because people would say, Stacy, okay, I get I'm supposed to talk to my partner. I don't know what to say.
Mhm. So Tom, what movie has made you laugh more than any other?
Oh, we just watched it with our Liar Liar.
That's mine.
Liar Liar.
That is my
I mean,
movie.
classic.
It is a classic, and I love that scene where he says, "Do you mind?" It was me.
Right. So yeah. So I think, do we have a graphic we can show? I mean, we're gonna again, we're giving away a deck of our new conversation cards. You know,
Yes, and so what we want to do is have our extraordinary engineer,
Mr. Writer, pick a number between
1 and 100.
1 and 100, and that person will be winning a new deck of our newly designed deck of our conversation.
Well, and hold on, we're feeling a little, holiday spirit-ish. I'm going to also throw in
One of
Sherry's book, Say It Now,
Wow.
33 Creative Ways to Say That I Love
A
You.
lot of pressure, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Who's our lucky winner today,
You
Eric?
didn't tell me there would be so much pressure. Let's go for 15.
15.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay.
We'll read
this
part of the
is
email so we don't,
somebody out of Los Angeles, California, with the email address C as in cat,
part of it.
NIMICK.
We'll reach out to you and we'll ask for your shipping address. So there you go. And we're going to do this the rest of this month. If you'd like to buy a deck of these 2.0 conversation cards for connection, you can go to stacybartley.com/cards.
And Eric, what movie has made you laugh more than any other?
Wow, that's a good question. There's been a lot of good ones. Just off the top of my head, though, I'll say Walk Hard.
I've not ever
That's a
seen
very
that.
funny movie.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to check it out. We can come back and commiserate on this. This is also a great question for you to use to relate to somebody else in your life right now, right?
So these are applicable. They're family friendly. Really, we can't overemphasize. Again, they were created because so many times we had clients ask us. So again, check them out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how simple they are. So we're going to jump right into what are we feeling as we land this episode? What are we feeling this week,
Congratulations to
Yes.
CNIMICK.
We'll reach out to you and just please provide us your shipping address and you get the book and the cards.
So our song today, we choose a song for every single episode that we do because after talking about things, it makes our brains think. And now we want you to feel, and music is a great medium to help us do that. And this is the essence of the episode and the conversation that we are attempting to communicate to you through being here with us. And the song that we've chosen today is Pentatonic. And the name of the song is That's Christmas to Me. And when I listen to this song, it makes me review or remember, Christmases of the past, Christmases present day, and Christmases that I hope to experience. There was this moment where I thought, man, babe, we're going to get into the place where, at best we might have 20 more Christmases. And that doesn't sound like a lot, right? Or 10 more Christmases.
Savor, savor, savor.
Exactly. And so this concept of what does Christmas mean to us? It's a beautiful song sung a cappella. I encourage you to check it out. You can do that on our website, but let's have a conversation for a few minutes that we have left here during the show. And let's, have our listeners think to themselves, what is Christmas to you?
Or whatever, if whatever holiday you celebrate, it's, for me, it's Stacy shared this song with me last night. This is a fun part of our, preparing for our show is picking a song. And I said, oh, babe, I had it blaring earlier today. I love Christmas. I grew up out east in the Washington National Cathedral. I grew up outside of Washington, D.C., and went and listened with my mom and listened to, I know, don't think I'm weird, but Gregorian chant. It gives me the chills. I know that could be a little weird for a left brain guy, but anyway, we gotta wrap this one up, honey. So
Well, yeah. And what is Christmas to you? I mean, what else? So
Well, I
you
would say
obviously love the music,
I love,
right?
I mean,
The music
Stacy's
of
made our beautiful
Christmas.
home lovely. I love the decorations. I just love the. Hopefully, we can gift ourselves a chance to pause. Just to take a breath, savor light. We walk around our town here, and the town is decorated beautifully. Just a different energy, I would say. And of course, family gatherings. But we're blessed and grateful to get together with our family all the time. So.
Yeah, I think I love the twinkle lights. And I love to drive the neighborhoods and see the lights there. That's meaningful to me while the Christmas music is playing. And my new favorite, in the spirit of full disclosure, mulled wine.
On that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna let you go. Have a glass. Check out mulled wine. Stacy has a recipe. Maybe we'll share it next week or something like that. But until we see you again, know that we appreciate you spending time with us. If the show makes sense, please share it. And we look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week.
And a special thank you to Sherry Ballou for being here with us. Come on back next week and join us as we continue to share additional ways for you to improve your sex, love, and relationships. It's been a gift to be here with you. Bye-bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us today in the Love Shack. We hope you came away with something that made your toes tingle. To learn more about everything you heard on today's show, go to stacybartley.com/podcast. Love the show? Help us spread the love by sharing the show with others. Okay, everybody, time to go. We got to close the doors to the Love Shack for this week. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Come back next week, though, and join us for another edition of Love Shack Live with Tom and Stacy Bartley.